Hey folk, welcome back. So as you would have seen by the title of today's video, we are going to be discussing my GRAIL dolls. So this is a video concept that I've been sitting on for a while. I don't honestly remember how long at this point. It was something that was originally suggested to me by one of you guys, one of y'all like in a comment section somewhere said that you would like to see a video of me talking about my GRAIL dolls. And so I've just been kind of like waiting, haven't done it yet until today, obviously. And then I know recently Darling Dolls did a video kind of like this talking about his GRAIL dolls. So I was like, all right, the universe is like giving me the sign here. I gotta bump my ass into gear. I gotta do this video. So we are finally doing that today. Now, because this is a fairy tale dolls video, I can't just jump into it because that would be way too easy. I have to like talk for an inordinate amount of time at the beginning about something. I want to discuss the like concept of GRAIL dolls because I do think it's something that like we all sort of know what it is. GRAIL dolls are like the dolls that you are the least likely to be able to get, whether that's because of expense or rarity, but like the ones that you desperately want for your collection, like the whole concept is referencing a holy grail. It's like a GRAIL doll is one that you don't necessarily super anticipate being able to get. It's not like a doll that's easy for you personally to get, but you still really want it. So I just kind of wanted to define what a holy grail doll is for me personally, because while I do think it has a general definition that everyone agrees on, I do think that like the boundaries of that definition might be different for every collector, if that makes sense. Because I have made videos like a while ago in the past at this point about my secondhand doll wish list, which was just generally dolls that like aren't produced currently, hence secondhand wish list. And most of those were dolls that I'm like, okay, yeah, I could reasonably buy this at some point, right? Like I'm not including dolls that are super readily available and relatively cheap on the secondhand market in today's video. Because to me, that's not a grail. That's just like a doll that I would like to have, but it's not out of my reach, if that makes sense. I think that's a good way to put it, is to me, GRAIL dolls are like just out of reach. So, like I said, I do think that that would feel different for different people depending on like what you're comfortable spending on a doll. You might have a much lower threshold for like what expense considers like a GRAIL doll, or you might have a much higher threshold for what you think is a GRAIL doll. You might be like, yeah, if I spend $300 on a doll, that doesn't really count as a GRAIL. To me, that would. So I think for me, it's less about like the quote unquote rarity. Like it's less about how often dolls pop in and out of like eBay or Mercari, that sort of thing. Although that does sort of play into it. It's more about the price tag. So for me personally, once we start getting into like 125 to like 150, that sort of range is where we start to price me out of just like what I would consider a secondhand wish list doll. And again, it might differ for you. That's totally fine. But just that's sort of the line where I'm like, okay, it is obviously a big chunk of money. Like I'm not trying to dismiss that. It's a lot for me to spend on a doll, but it still feels like within the realm of like achievable and reasonable, if that makes sense. I think it's just because thinking about like modern day collector dolls, I mean, I don't buy like the most Monster High collector dolls, but those are oftentimes like 90-ish dollars. I know like the off-white ones are obviously more expensive. A lot of collector Barbies that I like are like $90 to $100. So I do feel like having a secondhand doll therefore be like 120 to 150 is like not that much more than buying a regular collector doll, if that makes sense. So I think that's why that's sort of where the cutoff is in my brain. But once we get over 150, I'm kind of like, all right, this is getting questionable. Like, do I really like this doll that much? So that kind of ties into the other aspect of what I personally consider a GRAIL doll, because there are so many dolls that are wildly expensive on secondhand markets, and I just wouldn't buy them. Like, I think a good example is I don't remember which one it was because they've made like a couple Bratz costume Chloe dolls, but there's one costume Chloe that like references Marie Antoinette. She's beautiful. I've talked about her before on the channel. Gorgeous, gorgeous doll. She's very expensive on the secondhand market, and she's not in today's video because I would not pay that much money for her. So for me, I think the difference between a doll that is just like pretty but wildly expensive and then a GRAIL doll is I would spend the money on the GRAIL doll if I had the money in hand, if that makes sense. So like a doll that is a GRAIL that is $300 is like, okay, if I had $300 and I found her, I would buy her. Versus a non-GRAIL doll to me is a doll that's like pretty but $300 and I'm like, I would literally never. Like, it doesn't matter how pretty she is. I'm not spending that much money on her. I hope that makes sense. I know that's like a lot to get through. I know I'm talking a lot right at the beginning of the video, and I do apologize for my ramblings, but I just think it's like kind of an interesting topic to discuss how like the term grail can be slightly different for different people. And I also felt like it would be important for you guys to know what I consider a grail doll. So that's like the baseline that we're working with. So now we can actually start talking about the dolls, the fun part of the video. Alrighty, so these aren't organized in the sense of like I'm not going from like my least wanted to my most wanted or anything like that. I do have them organized by brand just because I like to keep things nice and tidy in my brain in that way. And I do also need to apologize for some of the images here, especially for older dolls. Some of them are like not the best quality, but you will get the idea, I guess, is like all that I can promise you. So we are starting off with my scene, and the first one is the Masquerade Madness Chelsea doll, the mermaid. Of course I want her. I feel like so many Mycene lovers love this doll, and it's very understandable to me why that is. Like, she's just absolutely gorgeous. I actually don't own any Mycene dolls. I would love to at some point, but like so many of them are so expensive, and given the collector Mycenes that came out recently, I personally don't think we're going to be seeing any more like reboot or remakes or anything like that, but that could just be me. If any more come out that are like actually nice for the price, I would happily buy some reboots or remakes, but that's beside the point. That's not the point of this video. I just think this Chelsea doll is so pretty. Y'all know I love mermaids, so I don't really think it's surprising that I would want a mermaid themed doll. I just really think that she strikes a lovely balance of being very clearly mermaid themed, but also very clearly costume themed. I think a lot of proper mermaid dolls fall into this issue where they're supposed to be a literal mermaid. Great example is Michelle Mermaid from I almost said Mermaid High, from Ever After High. Like, she is supposed to be a mermaid, but like her core doll just has a sort of mermaid shaped dress, and that just, it just bothers me because like it's very obviously a costume, it's very obviously not an actual tail, and you're also not quite representing just a mermaid that is like in human form, if that makes sense. I just think it's kind of weird, whereas when it's obviously a costume, I can get behind that sort of mermaid skirt a lot more, and I think this is a really beautiful example of a gorgeous mermaid costume themed doll. She's just so pretty, the colors and everything, the details. I love her. So many other people love her, like I said, so no surprise that she is a grail to me. Then to follow that right up with the Barbie from Masquerade Madness. I think she was still called Barbie at this point, because I know there was like technically sort of a new character, but like sort of a rename. I don't know. It again, not the point of this video. I'm chit-chatting way too much. I'm in a chatty mood today. Anyway, she is like a butterfly slash fairy, and again, just absolutely gorgeous. I also love fairies, so once again, not super surprising. And I love costume lines. Like this, there's just a lot of good things coalescing here. I love her. I think she's got such a fun vibe. The wings are absolutely gorgeous with that glitter. Her face is fabulous. The fluffy like jacket, I just love it. I don't know if it would be a texture I would like, but visually I think it's really pretty. I also really actually enjoy the like pinky purple camouflage pants. I think it's very much of the time, but it's kind of fun to me. Like, it's kind of a vibe. She's just perfect. I think way back when I did my top 10 Mycene dolls, I actually ranked her as like my favorite. I kind of stand by that. Like, she is absolutely gorgeous. I would love to get to own her someday. She's just expensive. Okay, so for this next one, the last one on the Mycene list, technically this is 4 dolls, but I'm kind of grouping them all together. I also referenced these a lot in my top 10 Mycene video. So this is the entirety of the Golden Bling line. I think this was top line for Mycene, like unquestionably just the most gorgeous. I know a lot of people are like, the My Bling Bling line was a really big deal. I understand that. I do like those dolls, but I think those fall into the camp of like, if I found one for a much better price than they typically go for, I would happily snatch them up, but I'm not willing to pay like what they go for. I'm just not. These, if I had the money, instantaneously I would drop an ungodly amount of cash on these dolls. I don't know what it is. I couldn't tell you what the explanation is. There's just something about them that scratches an itch in my brain I did not even know I had until I first saw these dolls. I love them to an unhealthy degree. And apparently other people do too, because they are so ridiculously expensive on the secondhand market. Like they're so gorgeous, but they're so expensive. It's one of those things where like, you know, the like TikTok joke of, oh, if I won the lottery, I wouldn't tell anyone, but there would be signs. This is my sign. I would be buying these dolls immediately as soon as that check hit my bank. As it is, these are so far out of my range. It's not even funny. Actually, it's a little bit painful, but I genuinely love all of them. And that's why I had to like just lump them all together, put the whole line in here. I think every single one is beautiful in their own way. They're just all gorgeous. I honestly don't have anything else to say. I think this was a phenomenal line from my scene, and I want these desperately, but I will probably never own them. Okay, then we are moving on to Monster High, which is really just Gen 1 because, like, I feel like most G2 dolls aren't horrifically expensive, and, like, G3 is obviously still ongoing. So, Monster High Gen 1 Grails, I only have one, which has definitely changed. And I feel like this might be controversial, but y'all know I'm a G3 defender and G3 lover till the day I die. I think it's a beautiful generation. I really, really enjoy these dolls that are coming out now. And I think because I'm enjoying them so much, I feel a lot less of a need to buy secondhand Gen 1 dolls. There are still a handful that I just would like to have because I think they're pretty and they're like relatively reasonably placed. Oh my god. Priced for like Gen 1 dolls, for older dolls. I feel like there are some that are just dolls that, yeah, if I have like spare cash, I can pick it up. It's like 30, 40 bucks, not a big deal. So obviously those aren't on this list. But as far as grails go, as far as dolls that I would be willing to spend an inordinate amount of money on from Monster High Gen 1, it really is a lot less than it would have been in years past. And I think it's just because I feel so like satiated by G3 and I feel such a genuine love for those dolls that it's like, honestly, some of the older Monster High dolls that I previously would have considered my grails, I look at now and I'm like it's nice, but it's not something I would spend that much money on. So again, it's kind of one of those things where like I would buy it if it were cheaper, but I no longer feel like it's worth the price tag that like secondhand sellers are asking for it. So the only one that we're going to discuss today is the Haunted Rochelle doll. She is so pretty. I do feel like she has a relatively simplistic design compared to some of the designs that we saw in Monster High Gen 1. Like there's nothing really crazy going on, but she's so beautiful for that relative simplicity. Like her hair blend with the blue all surrounding her face, I think is absolutely gorgeous. I've said before on this channel that with Haunted, they all had like this shimmery, almost mask-like makeup across their entire eyes. And it really does not work for me for some characters, but it works for me for this Rochelle. The main thing that gets me is I'm going to pronounce this wrong, so I'm really sorry. The fleur de lis. Maybe that's close to correct. Hopefully you at least know what I'm talking about. But the way that it is shaped with like, it's at her like neck, like a collar, and then it kind of goes down into the neckline of the shirt. It's so pretty for absolutely no reason. Like it's just such a big selling point for me. So it's kind of funny because I look at her and I'm like, she's kind of like not that crazy. I definitely could understand if a lot of people did not feel the way that I feel about this doll. But there's just something about her that absolutely captivates me. She's very expensive, again, secondhand, which is why she's on the Grail list. But if I had the funds for her, I would buy her at that price. I just think there's something about her that is different and that calls to me, and I love it. Hi guys, editing me here. So I guess I'm like coming down with a fever or something. Like that's the only explanation I can think of for why I didn't include my gorgeous, beautiful girl, Donna the Dance Laguna, on this list. Like, how ill do I have to be to forget how much I want this doll? Or is it just an issue of me wanting her so badly, but knowing that she is so far out of reach that like I try not to think about her? I don't know, but either way, she definitely needed a place in this video. Like I have absolutely no idea what I was doing not including her. Y'all know I talk about her literally all the time. I am kicking and screaming and begging for Mattel to make a reproduction of her because I'll take it. Okay, it doesn't have to be the original, but I need this design in my doll room so badly. It's not even funny. I want to get you guys back to like the rest of the video with actually good audio that doesn't have my dryer running in the background, but like I cannot believe I forgot this. I'm genuinely embarrassed, but just know Donna the Dance Laguna on top. And then moving on to Bratz, I will say, kind of as I referenced in the intro, like I used the Bratz doll as the example, the vast majority of Bratz dolls that I would want fall into the category of They're gorgeous. I would never pay that price for them. So I only have a couple of GRAIL Bratz dolls for that reason. There's only a couple that I would be like, yes, I would spend that money on if I had that money. The first of which is live in concert Sasha. This is so funny to me because like before starting this channel, I like vaguely remember the live in concert line, and I would have said that Chloe was my favorite. I still love the Chloe, but this Sasha, there is just something about her. It's the orange. I said that like I didn't know what it was. It's the orange. Orange is my favorite color. I think she is so wildly stunning. The hair, like the choppy layers, is such a vibe. Obviously, the orange is super cool, but I also like that she's mostly in this white outfit with just these little accents of color. I think it really makes them pop. It looks gorgeous. And combining it with the green, not a color story that like necessarily comes to mind as being the most obvious or the most cohesive or whatever, but it totally works on this doll. She's just stunning. Like there's honestly nothing else I can say. She's just such a fun doll. Like the mesh panel and the pants is so good for no reason. And obviously other people agree because she's really expensive. So another one that like unless they end up reproducing the live in concert line, I'll probably never have her, but wow, do I love admiring her from afar. Okay, this one kind of upsets me, I'm not gonna lie. So this is the Flashback Fever Fiona doll. And I mainly love her for the like first outfit, which should be on the left. I'm so bad at left and right. I think you'll also be seeing it on the left. But the one with like the really bell sleeves and the cool stripy pants, I love her. I love her so much. And I have seen her in box in person. And I didn't have the money to buy her when I saw her at the time. I think she was like $250, which is already at GRAIL level, like is already very expensive for me personally. And I didn't have the money to buy her at the time because I don't typically just have like $250 that I can throw around like that. That's not like normal for me. But I saw her, obviously, you know, like someone else ended up buying her because I saw her in like a local toy shop. And I'm just like, it's such a big regret of mine because obviously I couldn't have done it. And I'm glad that I didn't buy her in the sense that it would have been a very financially irresponsible decision for me to buy her. But I looked her up on eBay out of curiosity for this video. And she, at least for the listings that are currently up or were currently up when I like looked it up 2 or 3 days ago, she is so much more expensive. She's like $400 or $500 at minimum in box. And I'm like, that hurts. That hurts so bad knowing that it was like half price right there and I like couldn't get her at the time. So hopefully I will get lucky and I will be able to see her again at some point for like a slightly lower price point than what she's listed on for eBay and I will have the money that time because she's just so pretty to me. Like the sleeves are a big hit for me. Y'all know I love dramatic sleeves, but I also think the pants are really cool. And even though her second outfit is less striking, I do think it still has some really pretty pieces. Like this is just a fabulously designed doll. And she does keep me up at night thinking about that one that I saw. I'm kind of just lumping this one in with Bratz, even though it's like technically Bratzilla's, but it's like a spin-off sister line. So I think that's fair of me to do. The only Bratzilla's that I wanted to include on the list today is Vampalina. She's so good. I think she's my favorite Bratzilla's that ever got produced. Like I can't think of another that I like more. She's just so fun. The velvety like blue material of her dress is gorgeous. Plus the mess. I cannot talk today. I'm sitting here being like, I'm so yappy. I want to chit chat. Words are not coming out of my mouth right, which now that I say it out loud is pretty par for the course for me. Anyway, the mesh overskirt, such a nice detail. I love the hair with like the streak of red, streak of black. It's just so good. The makeup, the eyes are so striking with like the red rim, but the yellow like around the pupil. It's just so, she's so good for absolutely no reason. I know I keep saying about, I'm doing it again. I know I keep saying that about these dolls, but she's just so pretty. This was also the only release this character got. Like a lot of the other Bratzilla's characters had different releases in different lines, but this is the only Vampalina. And like, I think that probably contributes to her being so expensive on the secondhand market. So like, she is definitely not one that I can buy today, but boy, howdy, would I be happy to have her in my collection at some point. Again, like if I won the lottery, Vampalina's coming home. Next up, we have a single entry for Ever After High. I know like all of these, I kind of don't have a ton in each brand category, if that makes sense. Like there's just not many dolls in general that I feel Grail levels of love for, but there is one from Ever After High. Most Ever After High dolls, I think, because the secondhand market for them kind of falls on a spectrum. Like some are not bad at all to buy expense wise, some are a little bit more pricey, but in general, the ones that I like either are not terribly expensive or I like them, but I don't like them enough to buy them. However, the SDCC Cerise Hood is the one exception to that. She is so expensive, but like so worth it to me. And I honestly don't feel like I need to explain that. Like looking at this doll, she's incredible. All of the SDCC dolls Forever After High were genuinely amazing. And the boxes, like I typically don't care at all about packaging, but they were doing something with the Ever After High boxes for SDCC. Like they are so detailed and so fun. And like they really play into the story of what's happening with the doll. So like all of those are good. All of the SDCC dolls are good. But Cerise is definitely my favorite. Like the wolf, come on. The huge amount of like faux fur that she's got going on. The makeup, the white hair. It's so pretty. I really genuinely wish I had been like an Ever After High fan when they were actively coming out. I wish that I hadn't been an angsty teenager who was focused on Monster High, because like would have been super cool to try to get this doll when she came out. But I still really would love to get her at some point. Again, like if I had the money, I would buy her. I just think she's so fun and so unique. And she might actually be one of like very few dolls that I would at least keep parts of the box for to display her with. She's gorgeous. And then we are rounding out the video with Barbie. And this first one, I only have 2 entries for Barbie. This first one is technically not a doll, but I'm including it anyway. I did a video a while ago at this point about Barbie playsets, and I talked a lot about Barbie pools in that video, but there's one in particular that stands out amongst the rest that is just like clearly a superior Barbie pool, and that is the Barbie fountain pool from 1993. I need this. I need it so bad that it's kind of not funny. I just think this is the epitome of pool playset. The pool is actually deep. It's not a 1-inch little puddle of water. There's a lot of stuff going on with it, like a patio chair and lights, and it's called the fountain pool, so there's like a fountain aspect in there. And there's a slide. Like there's just so much going on, and all of it is incredible and amazing and perfect, and I need it. However, this is like one of the ones that I do think pops up less frequently for sale. That's not to say that it is like factually rare, if that makes sense. It's not like they didn't produce a lot of these, but I do think it's just something that doesn't come up for sale as often, especially complete is like harder to find. That being said, it does happen. And the price tag by itself is like kind of, at least again, from what I saw looking it up out of curiosity for this video, kind of hovering around that like 150 mark, where it's like just on the cusp of what I would find acceptable, especially for a playset. Like I think that that's, I mean, at this point, a 30-year-old playset, paying $150 for it to get it complete is like, it could be a lot worse. However, the problem comes in to ship it, because this is a lot to ship. You know, like a doll, shipping prices are insane anyway, but like a doll you can usually ship within the continental US for like $10 to $15 if you're going with like a cheap shipping method, right? Like if you're not paying overnight express. And that's like not terrible. Obviously it adds on to the cost of a doll, but it could be worse. But to ship something that is this big, whether it's in the original box or whether you have to like pack it up separately and everything, it costs a lot. Like $50 to $100 a lot, which jumps the price of this pool up to $200 at the minimum, more likely somewhere in the $250 to $300 range. And that definitely makes it a grail, because like if I just had infinite income, would I still buy it? Absolutely, in a heartbeat, no question. But like it prices me out of buying it easily right now. Because the 150, if it were just that, if it was like free shipping, just like 150 to buy the pool, that's the sort of thing where I could be like, okay, I'm going to just not buy like Playline dolls for a month so I can kind of save that money, and I'm going to buy this as a little treat to myself instead. But 250, 300 is a lot harder to pull off. So yeah, this one's out of reach for now, but like someday I need to have this pool. It's just so inexplicably good. And then the last doll for today's video is a Barbie collector doll. There are so many Barbie collector dolls that I would purchase, but again, a lot of them either fall into the category of they are viable purchases for me to make, or I just cannot justify the price. Like the collector merman that they did, gorgeous. Would love to have him. Personally, I cannot spend that much money on him. Like, he's pretty, but he is not that pretty in my opinion. Obviously, if you feel differently, like, that's fine. You're allowed to feel however you feel. But for me, the one that I would spend however much money I needed to get is the Empress of the Aliens Barbie doll. Y'all, this is like a relatively recent discovery of mine. And I'm obsessed. I think a lot of it is the concept. I literally just mentioned in my Goddess Barbie ranking video that I really like when Barbie does these sort of weirder concepts as opposed to just doing like very Barbie things. Like ballet Barbies or princess Barbies, don't get me wrong, I'm here for it, okay? Especially princess Barbies. Oh, oh my gosh, a good princess Barbie, I'm gonna eat it up. But those are like very Barbie concepts, right? Like there's a million princess Barbies. Alien Barbies, not so much, not so frequent. And for this to be the Empress of the Alien Barbies is just, she's so pretty. She's so good. The color scheme is absolutely fabulous. This like reddish purple and the green and the black. It's such a beautiful color combination, such a striking color combination. I also really like that they didn't go full green because I think like the little green men is like the alien stereotype. So it's cool that we get some of that in there, kind of like a nod to that stereotype with the green elements, but it's not overall that. Like it's definitely a lot more of the purple and black. And I just think she's so stunning. The striking face is gorgeous. This headpiece that like interweaves with her hair is incredible. The different fabrics and textures on here are excellent too. Like she's got a few different textures in her nice dramatic sleeves, which y'all know I'm obsessed with. The skirt is like this really cool like faux snake skin or faux like crocodile skin sort of texture to it. And it has like a nice little sheen there. It's just fabulous. There's no other way I can put it. This doll is incredible. Again, like I said, she's like a more recent discovery of mine that kind of only recently realized this doll exists. And now I can't stop thinking about her. She's so expensive. I cannot buy her immediately, but my God, do I want to. She's so pretty. She's just so pretty. So I have to stop staring at her. I have to like do the outro because I actually could just sit here and zone out and like not realize that I'm on camera and just stare at this image for too much time. So I'm closing my phone. We're not doing that. But yeah, that's going to be it for the list of my Grail dolls. I definitely don't feel like it's like a crazy long list because again, there's not that many dolls that evoke that level of emotion in me. I like to think, okay. What you see on the channel might indicate otherwise. Just because I do feel like making a doll channel, it's kind of inherent that like you're going to see me spend money. So it might not come across this way via the channel, but I do like to think that I'm a relatively financially responsible person. Like I put something on my credit card, I pay it off out of my bank account right away. Like I use the credit card just to get points and just to like build up my credit, but it like gets paid off right away. I don't really hold a credit card debt. If I do, it's like for maybe a week and it's like $100 less. Like I try to save money. I try to like think about my purchases and like kind of plan my purchases out. I like to think that I'm a relatively financially responsible person. So it does take a lot for me to look at a doll and say, yes, this doll is worth like $300 or more dollars. Cause there's just not many dolls that I'm like, I would spend that much money on. Cause that's a good chunk. That's a good chunk of change. But these dolls that we discussed today, yeah, if I had the income, I would do it because they're just so pretty. So hopefully that was fun for you guys. I know like I blabbed a lot and like talked really way too much about tangentially related things, but hopefully it was fun for you guys. Let me know what you think of the dolls that I discussed today in the comments. And also let me know what your Holy Grail dolls are. I just said that and then immediately got nervous because like if I'm not familiar with a doll that you guys mentioned in the comments, obviously I'm going to Google it. And maybe I'm going to end up wanting it too, but that's a problem for future me. So definitely let me know what your Grail dolls are in the comments down below. But that's going to be it for me for today, guys. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day or your night, or whatever it might be, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye, guys.